What's up, everybody? This is the Fighting for Overtime podcast. I am your host, Coach Tony. Tony, you know me. We are live on all social formats right now. We're on live on X, we're live on Facebook, we're live on YouTube. Wherever you're at, make sure, again, like I always say, you make sure you hit that like, you hit that subscribe, hit that notification bell. As always, Fighting for Overtime. Listen, for the most part, this is an audio driven traditional podcast. Okay. So I want to make sure Spotify, Apple, wherever you get your podcast from, this is always podcasted there when we're done. Okay. Sometimes we do live episodes for special occasions, special events. We did a couple for some kids in the area. And this one's going to be a personal story about me. And in the local area that's probably about 10 years old, but there is right there again that if you want, I'll post this again. This will post on Facebook, this will post on YouTube. Right here is the link to Spotify. And then if you have your phone on you right now, it's very, very easy. Right here, here's the QR code right here. Okay, if you scan up your QR code, you will go to Fighting for Overtime right there to all the podcasts. This is the fourth year, going on 4 years. We've had some amazing guests. I have some more amazing guests already lined up nationally and locally. We just had USA soccer star Tyler Adams on, which was fantastic. We also had a lot of local coaches and kids on, which is fantastic. Shout out Coach Mike McDonald from Archbishop Wood was amazing when he was on. The guy's really built a program up over there locally and does a ton for the kids, which is great. Love to have those people on. And again, when people need our assistance, right? When they need our assistance and they need our help, right? When there's an outcry, like shout out, again, praying for Gia, right? Well, again, over there at Lower South. And when we had there's some issues at Southampton softball. We try to, throw them into the fray. What's going on with Southampton softball, right? A lot of different things. But tonight's going to be the Southampton Xtreme story. Now, I just want to tell you something. This may be long, okay? And feel free, comment away if you have any questions, whatever it is. This is, like I tell you guys, I talk about things that I've lived personally. Okay. And this story, okay, I am dead serious, was gut wrenching. Okay. It really was. This is, I still wear the shirt, right? This is a team. I won't say that I built, I'll say a team that we built. And that is with the fantastic families that I got to meet and still friends with today, kids that I've coached over the years, everybody together who helped make Southampton Xtreme amazing. Okay. But unfortunately, youth sports turns ugly at times. Okay. We already know that youth sports turns ugly at times. And I hate when it does, right? I hate when it does, but the unfortunate part that it is. And what happens is, and I'll tell you real quick, it turns uglier than we know. Okay. Most of the time, because a lot of people are afraid to speak up. And I'm going to be honest with you. There's things I'm going to say tonight, okay, that I did not say at that time because of specific people that were involved. I did not want to put anybody out there. I didn't want, that's just what it is, right? And then how things happen, right? And I'll tell you, I know how things happen. I get it, right? We get the politics when it comes to, local townships and their power hungry boards, whether they be on sports teams or whether it be school boards, doesn't matter. Everybody's power hungry, right? That's what they do. And, I'm going to give my opinion of a lot of things that I feel like should not happen and should change. So instances like this don't happen. Okay. So I'm going to take you back. This was a 2007 soccer team. Okay. So 2007 mean birth year, 2007 birth year soccer team. Okay. And obviously my son, okay, who's 19 right now, was a player on that team. Now we all know the parents out there listening to this, whether you're a former coach, whether you've never coached, you sign your kid up for soccer. And what's the first email you get? We're looking for coaches. We're looking for help, right? Listen, it's just the nature of the beast, right? Everybody is tough with volunteers, right? Everybody needs a volunteer. So I had no inkling of coaching soccer. I played soccer growing up, but I never had the desire to coach when it comes to soccer. Because listen, everybody knows me. Like I like to eat. I'm an Italian guy, right? I got a dad bod. I love pasta. You saw the videos, right? I'm not this guy that's going to be running around doing sprints and showing everybody like, you're not going to look at me and be like, yo, that coach played. You're going to look at me like, dude, what did he do? Is he like the flag guy for the rest of his life, right? So what I say all the time is, as long as I would have somebody with me that I could lean on, and I got that, from a trainer standpoint. I had some great assistant coaches, but when it came from a trainer, I got that later over in Warminster with Coach Brett. And I won't say his name, but Brett was amazing. He played in college, right? He had the desire to teach. He was a kid that everybody could look to and say, yo, that dude can play, right? Like coach over here, Coach Tony's just a mouth, right? Coach, he's an enforcer, right? He's not getting on and throwing corner kicks, but that dude can play. So we had that later on. But in the beginning, I didn't really foresee myself as being a coach. And then what happened was we got the email and I was like, look, I was like, if I don't step up, I feel like this isn't going to happen. Okay. And I wanted my son to play somewhere well. So this is the very beginning before anybody came along. Okay. Very, very beginning. This was the very, very beginning. So again, doing anything in Southampton is like, you need an act of Congress and the act of God. Right. So I inquired about coaching, about the email that I got saying, hey, we have an 017 that needs a coach. And I inquired about it. And when I inquired about it, they said, oh, by the way, I forget the guy's name. Okay. I forget the guy's name. This is the very beginning. It wasn't anybody else. It wasn't Coach Chris. It wasn't any of those guys. This was a guy in the very, very beginning. And I can't remember his name. I know his last name, but I'm not saying last names just because I don't think it's right. Okay. So they told me they had somebody. Guy was a trainer. He played in college, blah, 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 right? And I said, okay, so what is that? Like, I'll help, right? I said, I'd love to help. So, bro, honestly, this was insane to me. I'd have write like a goddamn legal document, right? It to Southampton soccer to dudes who like on the board who didn't even have freaking kids in the program, right? These dudes had no idea, right? All they wanted was they wanted rule, they wanted structure, right? They wanted to be heard. They like at the end of the day, they didn't even have kids in the program. I didn't know why they were on a board. Okay. But again, I had to write this essay. I had to write why I want to be a coach and, give them a whole background. Now, granted, like before everybody starts banging out here and goes, well, it's important. Yes, you're right. I get it. It's important. You want the right guy. You want, I or girl, whatever, right? I understand that. But if you're inside, and people that played in Southampton, people that coached in Southampton under that stupid rhetoric back then know exactly what I'm talking about. But a lot of people, they would like to stay silent, which I respect. That's fine. Okay. That's not me. I can't do that. Right. I just can't stay silent. So long story short, I inquire and they go, yeah, okay, you're accepted. Like, oh, thank God. Like, I'm supposed to jump up and down and go through like 3 meetings. I got to be like the Lucky Charms guy over the rainbow, clicking my heels. Like, oh my God, thank you so much. You guys are amazing. Like, that's all they wanted. They basically, they just wanted you to show them power, right? That's what they wanted. That's what these dudes wanted. Okay. So at the end of the day, I take the role and say, I'm going to be an assistant coach. Or a co-coach. I'm sorry. It was a co-coach because the guy who wanted to coach, okay, he was going through something with his marriage and, he couldn't be there all the time or he was traveling, right? His kid was a goalie, whatever. So I said, fine, we're going to co-coach. Well, this dude just honestly just fell off the map, right? Like we had like one practice. He showed up and that was it. Like he was like, he was MIA. Kid was still there, but he was MIA. Then just all of a sudden says, yeah, you know what? I don't have time. I'm not going to coach. Oh, okay, great. Like, so then instead of just saying, hey, Tony, right, here you go. You can be the coach now. You be the main guy. Nah, we had to go through another set of meetings, right? And you people know this. People are going to want, please, can I preface this by saying, Okay. Go share this to whoever the hell that you want. Okay. I don't care. My mouth is not staying shut. All right. I have no fear right now. Go tell whoever you want. It's fine. Like it's over. I'm just telling you because I've lived this for so long, and I've had people come up to me and people say, "Yo, are you gonna tell everybody exactly what really happened?" And for some time, I was like, "No," because my kids were still involved in not locally, but in another area. I was like, I just don't need the drama for them. Okay, even though unfortunately, my son AJ got caught up in all the drama because he was on this team, okay, indirectly, which I'll tell you about that too, which really sucks, and that's the ugly side of youth sports. So anyway, I have to go through the whole thing again, okay, to finally say, oh my God, thank you guys. I won't do you wrong. I'm going to represent the orange and the blue of Southampton soccer. Woohoo! Like it was like this act of Congress that I finally was able to get to be the head coach. Okay. Well, let me just tell you something. I do everything 100 times bigger than most. It's just my MO, right? Number one, it was for the kids. Okay. And I wanted to do everything. We had different shirts every year, had a logo design, okay, made. My man Tim Bucklaw over there at TH Apparel, which is why I say his name, because he's fantastic in the area. He did all my shirts, did all my logos. We had different hats every year, different Scullies every year. We had different designs. Like I wanted to do as much as I could for these kids to have what they needed. Okay, to be proud of the soccer team that we were. Okay, we were the Xtreme family. That's what I wanted to make it. Okay, so we did everything we could, to make them smile at all times, and I was proud of that. I really was. So I do everything bigger, right? Like I just what I do. I do everything bigger. So as the year goes on, didn't really have any issues as that year went on. It was just a struggle, right? It was a brand new team, getting the kids together. Finally, we got a nucleus of kids together. Coach Chris joined me, which was great. He helped out. He was my assistant for a little while. I had a couple other people help me out from time to time as we get later down in the story. But, the first year obviously was a struggle. Well, during that first year, okay, the way this all kind of started, the personal attacks didn't even happen from the board. Okay, it happened from the guy who was supposed to be my assistant coach. All right, so the guy who was supposed to be my assistant coach, his son was a goalie. He kept telling me, my son's he's a goalie by trade, and he really wants to excel and go to the union and all this kind of stuff. Great, man. That's fantastic, right? It was fantastic at that time. Okay. And unfortunately, okay, number one, it's '07. They're like, these kids are like 8, 9 years old. All right. So I'm not looking at people to be like, the next coming of a USA goalie. But this kid didn't even want to be, he didn't want to be there. Like he didn't pay attention, right? He was picking daisies. He gave me like not an attitude. He was a great kid. He was a nice kid, but he didn't want to play. Like he didn't even want, like the kids would shoot and he would just stand there and watch the ball go in the net. Wouldn't even move. We would have conferences as a team, like sessions, coaching sessions, have all huddle up. This kid was over in the corner, like he didn't even want to come over. He was just sitting there throwing grass up in the air. He didn't want to be there. Listen, I get mad, but at the same time, I had to put somebody in goal that was going to play, like that wanted to be there, right? So his dad, who again was supposed to be my coach, the guy that, let me preface this by saying, the guy that blew the board away, he blew him away. Man, this guy's got to be the coach of Southampton, man. This guy's amazing. We love this guy. You know what he probably did, right? We all know. I want to be nice. I'm not going to say it, but we all know. Okay? So, and again, what this guy do? He ghosted me after a week. He was so great, though. So, this guy shows up at a game, and at that time, it's me and Coach Chris, and he comes up to me and says, why is my kid on the bench? Like the game didn't even start yet. I said, well, he's going to go in later. Like what I did was I transitioned him into a midfielder. right? I was like, all right, maybe he'll get excited because again, maybe he didn't want to be a goalie. Maybe it wasn't exciting for him, right? So I wanted the kid to play. So because I wanted him to play, I was like, we got to move him somewhere where he actually is involved. He wants to play, right? So every coach knows this. It's listen. And again, I did not, for the record, I had a rule on my team, just so everybody knows. Okay, especially when they were young. If you didn't start, and my man Chris, who's watching this, knows this. I told these kids, I said, if you did not start, you will start the next game. I wanted everybody to get their opportunity to flip-flop so they were involved. That I was not going to have starters and bench guys all the time. It was everybody played, man. These kids were learning. Okay? So I had this kid, and again, because I had that rule, it wasn't his turn. Okay. So he's on the bench with 4 or 5 other kids, and his dad walks up to me, makes a scene. Now, this is on a youth sports game. And this is the guy that the Southampton board was glowing about, that wanted to be a head coach. This guy's amazing, right? This guy stands nose to nose to me in the field, okay, before the game, before the opening tap. I was like, why is my kid on the bench? And I was like, because he's going to go in later. He's like, yeah, but he's a goalie. I said, listen, no disrespect, but I don't think he wants to be a goalie. He looks like he's afraid and he's bored. So when I put him in midfielder, he actually plays along, and I think it's better for him. So that's what I'm doing. I'm trying to make him get more involved. Oh, that's bullshit. He's a goalie. You know what? Calls me a douchebag, calls me everything in front of everybody, grabs his kid off the bench. The kid's screaming, crying. Think about this. And again, this is the guy at Southampton wanted to be a coach. This kid's screaming, crying, saying he wants to stay. And he's like, I'll never have you play for some douchebag coach like that. That was who Southampton wanted, by the way. Okay? That was who Southampton wanted. That was their glowing coach that they wanted to lead these 8, 9-year-old kids, by the way. Okay? Just throw that out there. So that ended. Okay, that ended. Whatever, let him go. I felt bad for the kid because it wasn't his fault. But right there, it began. Because what that dad did was he went home and probably spent his whole weekend, because I guess he got nothing better to do. Okay, and he typed up this huge letter. Okay, sent it to the board and talked to and emailed the board. He emailed me on it too, and told how about I don't have kids' interest at heart. I'm very disrespectful to the kids. Now, listen, like, I'm sorry, but you can ask any parent I friggin' coach, bro. That is not me. Okay. And then he goes to the personal attacks. Then, like, bro, I know I was fat. I'm fat. It is what it is. Like, I'm not a skinny dude. Like, so this dude, okay, the Jersey Shore letter. I'm looking at the comments, man. My man's checking in. He's cracking me up. But, like, I'm not ashamed to say I was a fat guy. Like, I'm still a fat guy, but I was even fatter then. So he writes this letter as like, we should be appalled to have an overweight, out of shape, fat soccer coach giving our kids lessons. It's giving them a bad name. They're looking at him and thinking that's a good way to live, and he should live a healthy lifestyle. All this kind of stuff, bro. At the end of the day, that didn't bother me. I thought it was actually pretty goddamn funny. But it just, to me, it showed, again, that board at that time, actually came to me about it. No, let's not go again, like, tell that dude he's not wanted anymore. Okay? Let's actually take his side and want to call me and interrogate me and ask me what happened. Are you kidding me? Right there, I should have known. These dudes, they don't like me. You know why? Because I open my mouth. I'm a hardcore Italian. I don't shut up. I stand on my morals. I stand on my beliefs. Okay, and I stick up for what's right. And they didn't like that. Okay, so right there it started. Now, after that, again, another year goes by. It was, in the beginning, it was great. Okay, it was great. But then we get to the pink shirts dilemma. Okay. Now, I say this because I got to tell you, man, this is what happened, and this the way it happened, and I'll tell you exactly the way it went down. And again, just so everybody knows, it's going to get to the point with the local township police and everybody. Okay, it's going to get to that. Unfortunately, I got to get you to that point. But the pink shirts. Now, again, I will not say names. Okay, but good friend of a lot of people in the community. Their son at that time was battling cancer. Okay, a kid in the club. Okay. Remember, I'm saying this, a kid in the Southampton club that we all represent was battling cancer. Beat it. Okay. And every year, everybody knows that they have the walk every year in September down Center City. Well, because, we play soccer on that day, I decided, the coaches, everybody, the families, I said to everybody, I said, look, this is what I want to do. Because we can't be there, I said, we again, I want to buy the shirts for every single kid. Okay. So what we did was we took money out of the team account, and I got the sizes for the kids, and we got the shirt, because every year they had a different shirt made for the player, who, and again he beat it, which is awesome. Okay. But because we weren't there, I wanted to buy the shirts. Number one is support. Okay. But number two, what I wanted to do is I wanted the kids at that time to wear the shirt representing a lot of it was their classmate, their friends, right? We all knew each other. Not a big town here in Southampton. Okay. So again, I think the first shirt might have been green, and then it was it might have been blue. I forget. But so what we would do is at the end of the game, I would tell everybody, listen, this is the walk day. Okay, this is the walk day. So what we'll do at the end of the game, let's get a team photo. We're going to tell everybody to put their shirts on. Okay. I think the one, was the one shirt was Chucking for Sean, I think it was called. And, I want everybody to get a picture. And then, we're going to do like we dabbed it out on one picture, did something. And then I posted, say, hey, even though we can't be at the walk, what we're going to do is we're going to support you from afar. We're playing for you today. Okay. Didn't wear the shirts in a game or nothing like that. Just that's going to come in a bit. But it was like, this is a way to show support. So we did the first year. And then the second year, I said, which I never really understood, was I said, wow, you know what? What I never understood is, why don't we support Cancer Month, right? So October was Breast Cancer Month. And I was like, what awesome idea would it be? And this is before remember, we're going back 10 years. Not everybody that now it's commonplace, but back then it wasn't. Okay. So please understand that. Please understand. Again, if you're watching right now on Facebook, check it in. I appreciate it. If you're over at YouTube, make sure you get over to YouTube, like, subscribe. And again, the podcast, make sure, again, for year 4. So very, very easy. Okay. The podcast link, it's on Spotify, it's on Apple. And again, if you would want to scan a QR code, you could scan it right here. It's going to take you right to the podcast. So make sure you check out that podcast, because we got a lot of good people coming, going on 4 years. I think you'll like a lot of the episodes. Okay. So I thought about it, and I was like, listen, I'm like, you know what? We never, why don't we have anybody that wears these pink shirts or pink socks or have a pink soccer ball, right? It's before any of this happened. We didn't have any of this. So what I decided is, I was like, what? I was like, what'd be pretty cool is, what if we got our own pink shirts made? Okay. What if we got our own pink shirts made? Because, hear me out, that year, the first 2 years, the kid who we were supporting, the shirt was blue, and I think it was green. Okay. Or it was green the first year, but the second year it was pink. So I said to myself, man, instead of a day, why don't we just do the whole month? I'm like, you know what? We'll do the whole month of October. We are going to wear pink shirts. And I asked the parents about it, like, oh, that would be great. I'm like, look, I'll buy the pink socks. I'll say I'll get the logo, right? The logo right here. All right. The X right here. I was like, we'll use the same symbol. I was like, now this is the way my mind thinks. Remember, I do things a little big. And I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna get the names and numbers on the back, because then what we'll be able to do is we'll be able to use them for inter-county. It'll be perfect. See, it's friggin' in-house. I'm like, nobody cares, right? I'm like, this will be fantastic. So what do? Right? And here's the best part. People don't understand. I won't say the last name. So I call Courtney at inter-county, and because I have a great relationship with her, and I said, hey, Courtney, I was like, I got a question for you. I'm like, can I wear a different shirt for my uniform? She's like, what do you mean? I was like, I want to do pink. I was like, just for October, for breast cancer month. I was like, I'm going to buy a pink soccer ball that we're going to use specifically. I'm going to buy all the kids pink socks. I'm like, and I want the kids to wear a pink shirt. It's going to say Southampton Xtreme on it. It's going to have their name, and it's going to have their number on the back. It's going to look exactly, but again, it's just not their actual official jersey. She was like, yeah. She's like, as long as no other teams, which makes sense, is wearing a pink jersey. She's like, which they aren't, because back then nobody did it. She's like, you're fine. I was like, all right, cool. So what do? I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna wear these pink shirts, right? So I get first, before I get them made, I hear you have to go to the board. I was like, what do you mean you have to go to the board? Now I'm hearing this. I'm like, for what? I'm like, these are just going to be for, these are stuff that I'm buying, right? And somebody said, oh, well, it's because of the Adidas logo. And I was like, oh, okay, all right. So can I get an Adidas logo? Like I said, I'll buy original jerseys for my team. I don't care. Like, give me the supplier, whoever you guys use. So I talked to the supply manager at that time. I gave him a call. He was super nice. And I told him what I was thinking about doing. And I said, hey, can you give me the number for the sales rep for Adidas? And he was like, why do you want that guy? I was like, oh, because I want to see if I can get jerseys made for pink. I said, because that's the color of Sean's shirt this year. And I want to not only support him for the walk, but support him for the whole month. I think it would be great seeing we're always out there playing for him, right? And playing for anybody else whose family has been unfortunately scarred by cancer. And he was like, oh, you know what? I mean, here's his number. I mean, this dude was like, he was fine. We know who it was. I forget. It's been such a long freaking time. But again, he was probably just a normal local guy, just volunteering. It wasn't one of those power hungry guys on the board. So I call the guy, the Adidas rep, and I'm talking to him, and he's like, I don't have a problem doing this. He's like, but he's like, I think I have to ask the board about. And I was like, that's fine. I'm like, no, like, I'm like, okay, that's fine. Just let me know how much they are. I was like, I have something in mind, but if you have to make a specific jersey and I have to get the Adidas logo on there, I was like, let me know and we'll get it done. So he calls, and I forget the president's name at that time. I'm going to be honest with you. I do. I forget I don't know if it was Dave. He was a golf guy. Again, not a kid in the program. Okay, I think he was on the board for a very long time with Ken and Todd and all those guys. Okay, I don't know who the president was at that time, but he calls me, and he was like, "What are you doing?" Just like that. I said, "Why?" He's like, "Why are you calling our uniform rep?" Like, real nasty. And I told him what I was doing. He's like, "You can't do that." I was like, "What can I do?" He's like, "You can't wear pink shirt. That has to be voted by the board." I said, "For what?" I said, I said, before we get into the kind of discussion, can I let you know why I want to do it? Okay. Why I want to do it. And he says, I tell him the whole story. He says, I don't really care why you want to do it. He's like, you didn't come to us. He's like, so consider it not happening. Right? It's like, wait a minute. What am I doing here? I said, number one, who the hell is this dude calling me? I'm like, and basically telling me what I am and can't do. Like he's my dad. I'm like, without even having a professional conversation. And all I said then was like, look, I went through the proper channel. Somebody told me I need to get a logo, went through the logo. I called Intercounty. They told me it was okay. Everything was good, man. This doesn't cost anybody a dollar. I'm paying for it out of my own pocket, this and that. Well, they made such a stink about it. Okay. They contacted everybody to let them know that I was not allowed to wear the pink jerseys on our inter-county games. And back then, we played both. We played inter-county UJSL. Okay, so they contacted, the board's got not better to do, right? They didn't want to give me an explanation. Like, they didn't even want to hear that. By the way, we're doing it not only to support everyone, but specifically one of the kids in your friggin' program, bro. In your program. We're trying again. It's unbelievable to me that a lot of this stuff's going to come back. I'm going to get very, very emotional. Okay. And I apologize, but it really pisses me off that I had to go through this. Okay. So they were so like, oh my God, like they were so pissed. Okay. They made every call that they could to make sure that I couldn't wear those jerseys. Okay. That again, they didn't even that I didn't even have them yet. Okay. I did not have them yet. All right. So me being me, I was extremely pissed. Okay. Now I will do what I can do based on what people tell me. People have told me before I should have been a lawyer. I was very active in the local union when I worked in my previous position. And you say I can't wear a pink shirt in inter-county or UJSL, fine. If it's that important to you, no problem. So what am I going to do? I'm still going to get those damn shirts made. Okay. So we're going to wear them at practice. What's wrong with that? Right? But telling me I can't wear them for practice? No, telling me I can't wear them for practice? We're still going to do it. And guess what? I'm going to get the pink socks and I'm going to get the pink soccer ball because nobody told me I couldn't use a pink soccer ball. Okay. So again, I get the shirts made. Came out fantastic. Okay. So in my infinite wisdom, okay, as only Tony can do, which everybody will tell you, I say, hey, I got an idea. We're playing the Jack Walsh tournament. That's a tournament. They didn't tell me I couldn't wear them in a tournament. They told them I couldn't wear it inter-county. They told them I couldn't wear it at UJSL. So you know what? Screw it. That's what we're going to do. We're going to wear them at the Jack Walsh tournament. So I called the director and I said, hey, is anybody wearing pink? He said, no. I said, can you put me in for pink? He said, absolutely. So Southampton Xtreme showed up at that tournament with pink socks, with a pink jersey, and with a pink ball. And I told everybody, you do whatever you would like, but I highly recommend if you could take a bunch of pictures and post the shit out of them all over Facebook. So people know I'm still going to wear this shirt, okay, based on your recommendations. You didn't tell me I couldn't wear them in the tournament. You told me I couldn't wear them in the league because I didn't come to you. So guess what? I did. And at the end of the day, not only was I extremely pissed off that we couldn't wear them, but I loved my parents. I love my own parents, obviously, but my Southampton Xtreme family parents. Because they were just as pissed as I was. And I'm going to be honest with you. Before I tell you what they did, I'm going to be honest. I don't think they understood the repercussions that they created. They put a lot of people in a very bad way. I had people on the team that were extremely upset because they had family members that were going through some really tough times, through cancer treatments. And they said to me at that time, like, why would they look down on something like that? Like, again, they were just power hungry guys that wouldn't leave their post. Okay. And again, they just wanted what they wanted and they didn't care about anybody else. That's as simple as that. Okay, it was their way or no way, and again, I think it was ridiculous. So my parents, which are fantastic, what do they do? So this is hilarious. Okay, this is hilarious. So we have picture day every year. We have picture day, and picture day is at Veterans Field. So my parents, I didn't listen, I did not coordinate this. Okay. I did not coordinate this. Parents came to me and said, "Hey, what if we wear our pink shirts for pictures?" Southampton sanctioned pictures. I was like, "Man, I love you guys. Screw it. Yeah. Listen, you know what? Sounds like a great idea. Didn't say I could wear for pictures. Right. So not only did my kids have them, right? But my parents were walking around in front of all the board members that were there, proud to wear, okay, proud to wear their pink Southampton Xtreme jerseys and shirts. And to tell you that they were pissed is an understatement. Okay. To tell you they were pissed is an understatement. But again, you didn't tell me I couldn't wear them for pictures. What you told me, and I abided by the law, was that you can't wear them for UGSL games or Department of Rec or inter-county games. No problem. I didn't do it. So this was kind of, again, another unfortunate situation that led to the ridiculous end that we're going to get to in a minute. Okay. So after that, at that time, we had the unfortunate birthday rule. Okay. Where you had at that time with soccer made that it's so stupid, right? The USA soccer rule to where each kid had to be, there was no cutoff anymore, right? You couldn't have an 08 on an 07. You couldn't have an 09 on an 08, right? It had to be, the exact birth year of that child. So I had three kids that were 06. Okay. I had three kids and it sucked because I had to make a decision. Okay. I had to make a decision because, that year I had to let them know was because there was another team ahead of me, right? The Southampton Force at that time. And they had some kids with different age. Like it was just crazy. So I had to make a decision, do I want to drop down because you could play up, but you couldn't play. It was just a crazy, crazy scenario. So I had three kids, and one of them's birthday was on like New Year's Eve, man. It was on New Year's Eve that I had to let them go. I cried my eyes out, right? I did. It sucked. It was the worst because number one, I mean, one of those kids was with me in intramural for like 4 years. These were great kids, and it sucked because I had to unfortunately let them go. Right? Not like, but it's just the way it worked. It was one of the most gut because again, when I say my kids, they're all my kids. Okay, it was I'm sorry. It sucked. I wore my sunglasses that day because I was crying. Okay. I'm not saying that for sympathy or be like, oh, look, coach really cares. No, I'm dead serious. It was heartbreaking to me. It really was. I didn't want to do it. I didn't want to do it, but I had to. It just, it was the rules and I had to buy it. Just sucked. It sucked. So, we had to move on, to the next year. And this is where the story picks up and gets interesting. Now, I've always been a straight up transparent guy. Okay. I listen, whether you like me or you hate me, the one thing you're never going to say is, I didn't tell you the way I felt. Okay. Whether you like it or you didn't like it. Okay. Again, I was always going to tell you how I felt. Okay. And that's the way I live life. All right. I always tell everybody that you may not like my opinion, may not like what I tell you. Okay. But at least you know what's going to be the truth. Okay. I'm going to be transparent as hell. So I looked at the optics of Southampton soccer. I hated the board. I hated the power. I hated all of it. And I said, listen, can I like the comments are awesome, man. Like, can I just give a shout out to everybody? The comments are awesome. I love it. Exactly, Bernie. Like who exactly? It's ridiculous, dude. Ridiculous. Everybody checking in, man. Like, yeah, it's so goofy. It's ridiculous, right? Colleen, what's up, Kyle? Yeah, everybody hates me. Everybody at the soccer like association hated me, right? I don't know why, right? I have no idea, but just because I didn't abide by their gavel and their rule, right? So it's crazy. It is absolutely crazy. But listen, I had to make a decision. Okay, I had to make Chris Buckle, you got that right. You know what's coming. So I had to make a decision. And I had to look at, and I said, I need to, I want to move out of this association because number one, it was turning to the point where the teams were falling off. They weren't getting the fields weren't great. The communication sucked. And it was just like the same thing over and over again. Different board people that were still in politics, and they only wanted to get their way, and so I was just like, you know what, I'm going to move this team. Not right now, but I'm going to have an idea in my head that I know next year I'm moving the team, the entire team, anybody who wants to come with me. Okay. And I was transparent as hell. And screw you if you're a parent who tells me I wasn't. Okay. Because I had multiple meetings. I sent out multiple emails, and I keep every goddamn thing. So I'm a documenting mofo, man. Seriously. So I have it all. All right. So I sent email after email, meeting after meeting, after everything. And this was my sell. I told everybody, I don't like what's going on here. I don't know if there's going to be a club in the next 2 or 3 years. So I'm looking at where can we go to where we can get better fields, better practice times, and these kids can still stay together for the next 4 or 5 years and ride them out to the end of to the end of high school. So I picked Warminster. At that time, I had a good relationship with a couple guys over there, and I had preliminary meetings, and I said, listen, can I bring a full team over? I want to take my entire 07 team and bring it over to Warminster. And they said, absolutely. We would, we would have to, we would have to okay it. And, at that time, they had an 07 team, but they couldn't get kids. They were forfeiting games. It was a mess. Now, again, remember, this is a conversation in July. After one season ends, I have a conversation in July before the next season goes, and I wasn't going to move to the following year. A whole year, I planned this, okay? And I was transparent as hell. So I went to the parents. I told them, listen, this is what I want to do. I want to move the entire team to Warminster. Any questions, ask me. And I said this. And I know Tim is checking in right now. I know Chris is checking in. And these guys, I don't know if Chris was there at that time. But I asked specifically the parents to get their opinion. And I told them all, I said, listen, if I can't get everybody on board, I'm not splitting the team up. I won't go. My whole point is I want this entire team, because you could do that. Teams have done that. You could pick up an entire team and bring them to another association. Fox Rock did, Fox Chase did it. A lot of teams did it. Okay. So I had these preliminary meetings with Warminster, and I asked them specifically if I could do it. They said yes. Okay. I won't tell their last names, but I had Pat, I had Dave. They were all on board. Everybody was good. Okay. I just said, what do I need to do? Yes, that's right, Chris. Jaden went to baseball. Right. And can I just, I'm not, again, Chris, I'm not going to put you on the spot. Okay. But I want to because Colleen checked in and she was like, "Who hates me?" And Tim said, it's ridiculous. But I just want to give you, and this isn't a pat on my back, please. I'm not saying this for this, okay? But I just want to show you how much people think I'm such a bad guy, right? Listen, there's no secret. Me and Chris had some disagreements on the soccer field. We had some disagreements. It happens. We're adults, right? There was times I didn't think he was a good guy. He didn't think I was a good guy. Shit happens, right? Maybe he didn't think I was doing the right thing, and he thought he could do better. Listen, it is what it is, man. Everybody's human, right? I get that. But I would never, ever, ever punish the kid for that, okay? Ever. So his son went and decided to play another sport, which was great, man. Listen, no problem. He decided he didn't want to be a soccer player anymore. He wanted to go hit the baseball, which is fantastic. No problem, right? So he leaves. So even though me and Chris weren't, speaking completely at that time, right? Chris shows up at a soccer field a year later with his son. And I see him. I see his son. And listen, we were dabbing it up. We were having for before the game, we were together. And I was like, yo, I don't want to say his name, but I was like, yo, Jay, come here, man. And, he came in because he was a part of the team for 2.5 years. Okay. And whether me and his dad were getting along at that time, who the frig cares? Doesn't matter. Right? It's all about the freaking kids, right? So I put him right in the middle, right? Allowed him to lead the cheer, stay on the sideline with me, talk to me, whatever you want to do, man. And everybody was like, "Well, I can't believe he did that." Like, what do you mean you can't believe I did that? You really think I'm that freaking bad? What? Because I wanted to wear a pink shirt, and because I went and I stuck up for myself at a meeting with a bunch of power hungry idiots? No. Guess what? At the end of the day, I don't care. Okay, but that I'm a bad guy for that. Whatever. So that just showed you. And again, I'm not telling you that story to get a pat on my back. I'm saying it because I couldn't believe that people were actually shocked. Oh my God, Tony did that? Yeah, because why would it be about the kid, bro? It's not about the kid, right? I had disagreements with adults all the time. All the time. At the end of what am I going to take that on the kid? Right? Not big disagreement. It happens, right? Listen. If you're sitting there watching this, right, and you're sitting there watching this, okay, I've done it myself with teams that I didn't coach. If you're a parent sitting there saying you never said, I don't know why this coach is doing this. He shouldn't be doing this. He should be doing that. You're a friggin' liar, right? We all do it. It's okay. But does that mean because we don't get along at that time? And you know what? You're on a bench now. Why? It's so stupid, right? So again, I remember that day because it was great. And the kids loved it. The kids loved it. It was awesome. So let me get back. So I have meeting after meeting with the parents. We get through the fall season. After the meeting, I said, listen, guys, this was my mistake, by the way. This is where it all went downhill. I said, are we still on board? Everybody's still on board moving to Warminster. And yes, absolutely. Yep. I'm on board. Yeah, we're all on board. We're all Coach, we're all going with you. Sounds great. We can't wait. I said, okay. I said, just so you know, I'm going to go to the club and tell them now. This was my mistake. Me being me. Because again, at the end of the day, it's about the kids. So I wanted to make sure that even though I was leaving Southampton soccer, that even though I didn't like them, even though they annoyed the shit out of me, even though I despised the members on the board for what they did, I still didn't want to leave them hanging dry. So I said, I'm going to go to them and let them know my intent on taking the entire team. At this time, I think they were 11 years old. 11 years old. Taking my entire team at 11 years old and moving them to Warminster. Could have been 12. It was 11 or 12. I'm sorry. I think it was 11 or 12. But that's what I did because I told you I'm transparent. So I go to them and they said, I get the whole, what do you mean you're moving the whole team? I said, well, you can't move the whole team. I said, why? Well, they all have to agree to go. I'm like, well, they are. They are. They said, oh, they are. So yeah, everybody's on board. So I just want to let you know that after the spring, we will not be back as a team. I will not be back as a coach, and we will not be back as a team. Now, actually, it was 12. It was 12. So, again, every now and then, I kick myself in the ass for not listening to my gut. Okay? Every now and then, I I'm sorry, I gotta laugh. My man, the only thing I play before is get me hooked on that hot white mocha with whip at Starbucks. Bro, you know it was my favorite goddamn drink. That's so funny, man. That's hilarious. It's so true. It's so true. So listen, so here's the deal. So where was I? That was great. I love a white hot, extra hot, by the way. Extra hot with whip. By the way, no, none of that friggin' oat milk, but no oat milk. Who does sell with the friggin' oat milk? Okay, I'm already fat. Oat milk's not going to help me. Okay, at the end of the day, it is what it is. So I say, I didn't listen to my gut. So I get contacted by somebody on Facebook, somebody that I went to grade school with. Her husband was a soccer coach, and he was a soccer coach in Northeast Philly. And again, I'm not saying names. People who follow this will know exactly what I'm talking about. So I have this guy contacts me, and what have I always told? What did I tell you in the beginning? At that time, one of the dads was helping me, but he lived far. Okay, and God bless him. All right, he was an amazing guy. His son was on a team. He was divorced from his wife, and he was coming back and forth, driving like 40 minutes to help me. And he did it for an entire year. And in the fall, he told me, he said, "Coach, man, he's like, Tony, I don't think I can keep doing it." He's like, "It's just a lot, and you can't use his name." Yeah, bro. Listen, if you guys want to use his name, go ahead. I'm not, I'm not going to do it. But like I said, you guys know who it was. So I needed an assistant. Okay, like a training assistant. Like, I had great guys with me before. I had Jimmy with me, was fantastic. Chris was great in the beginning when he was there. I always had really good guys, except for one who stabbed me in the back. Well, two of them actually, and we'll talk about that as we're going on. But I had this guy from Northern Philly, and again, he was a soccer guy, right? He was a soccer guy. So me and him had a conversation, and he's like, "Look, I'm moving into the area. My son is as an 07, looking for somewhere to play. I was going to go to Huntington Valley, but I saw your team and I thought, you know what, there's a good opportunity." So I told him at that time, I said, "Listen, yeah, yeah, I know. So I said, look, we're going to move the team to Warminster, just so you know. Like, we're Southampton right now, but I've already let them know. No, that's great, man. Better, everything's better, right?" So he was there for a little bit, and I regretted it instantly because I got fixated on having somebody else with me. Because at that time, I'm not out on my own. At that time, I'm working 12 to 16-hour rotating shifts at the chemical plant, sleeping in my car during tournaments, sleeping in my car, after games to get to the next one. I mean, that's what I was doing. I needed somebody because I couldn't be there all the time. I need somebody to run practice for me, right? So again, it was like, looking at it, I was like, I need somebody. So this guy came along at like the perfect time. I was looking at him like, oh, this is great, man. Like, this dude knows the game. He's in shape, right? And, he can ball, he can play. People know him. Like, this is great, man. After like the first month, I was regretting it because I didn't like the stuff that he was saying to me, right? It was another one again that was like, it's all about him. And he was very cocky, and he was talking to me. He didn't buy into my coaching methods, meaning, it was all about the better kids and not the kids who still need to learn. It was all like, I could already see that it was a bad move on my part, and I was kicking myself in the ass for it. But my opinion was, you know what? At the end of the day, I just got to get the Warminster. Okay. And because he already told me that he wasn't sure that it was for him. He needed somewhere to play for the time being. So it was kind of like a handshake agreement. It was perfect for us. We got he was really tight with a guy around a Northeast Philly gym. So we were able to practice in there for free, which was great. And that was fan. So I was like, this is a perfect marriage in that way, right? So remember my gut, right? My gut. Remember all the meetings I had with the parents, all the meetings I had. Bernie's having type issues, man. Bernie's having type issues. I love it. He says, my kids were lucky enough to have some pretty good coaches as kids, unless I was coaching at the time, but there were some pretty bad ones, some pretty bad mans at the top of some of the leagues. Colleen was definitely one. Yeah, man. Colleen's good peeps, man. Colleen's good peeps. That's my girl, man. That's my girl for sure. So I set this all up. I set this in motion. So again, pipe bomb, right? So again, I'm telling you everything. So once I set it in motion, I let everybody know, let the board know I'm not coming back. The team's moving, not coming back. Tell the parents, I let the board know. Let everybody know that we're moving to Warminster as a team. I have another meeting with Warminster. And I show up. And there's another guy sitting there. There's Dave, there's Pat, and there's a guy next to me. I have no idea who he is. And they're like, oh, Tony, this is Coach Chris. And I said, okay. I'm like, what's up, Coach? And she, Colleen says, thank you. Easy to be fave among, you're my girl, Kyle. Tell Mike to watch out. No, I'm just kidding. No, seriously, me and Kyle got that thing, man. We definitely understand each other for sure. So I go and I'm like, who's coach? I said, I'm sorry, Chris, I don't know. He's like, oh, I'm the coach of the Crush. And I was like, I said, who are the Crush? So Dave, and I'm not going to say his last name, but another guy stuck it up my ass later on. But he says, yeah, I coached the 07 team here. And I was like, I looked at both those guys, said, wait, I thought you said that team was done. And they're like, well, yeah, typical politics again. So now I'm getting screwed by both boards. Okay. Now I'm getting screwed by both boards. So they tell, well, they still have some kids. I said, okay, so what does that mean? I said, I have the biggest team in Southampton. Okay. The biggest team. Just by the way, can I say this? And I'm going to say this proud as shit. Okay. I had the biggest team in Southampton all the time. I had the biggest team in Warminster when I went. And God damn it, I was proud of that. I had 22. I kept 4 extras. Okay. And I went to those people and was like, listen, I was like, I don't want to get rid of, I would love you to be a part of the team, but I can only keep 8 active kids at 18 active. I said, but I would love to keep 22 and guess what? They all say, sure, absolutely. And I would finagle the Lions to figure out a way for them to play and get them in. And I listen, ask anybody, biggest friggin' team. Okay. Southampton soccer. So when I sat there and I say to this guy, I said, I thought your team was splitting up. And he goes, oh, well, yeah, I think we're going to stay on. I said, yeah, but you said his kid was going to VE. So he goes, well, no, we're leaving, but where are all the kids going to go? I said, I was told there wasn't any kids. He's like, no, there's kids. I said, wait a minute. I said, I got a team of 15, 16, 17, 18 kids right now at this time. That's coming over. Like I said, we're coming as a team. So I said to the guys right there at that meeting at Kenny's Madison, we're at Kenny's Madison. I said to them both, I said, listen, I'm telling you right now. I said, I'm bringing my entire team. I said, I don't care what's going on over here. That's your problem. I said, if you're going to tell me that I have to go and have tryouts and all this kind of stuff, guess what? Not happening. I said, if you want to have an A and a B team or a 1 or 2 team, whatever you want, I don't care which one I am. Well, guess what? That team, they can figure their own shit out. I said, but my team is called. They're like, okay, so So can we have two teams? I said, I don't care what you do. I said, I'm going to have my team, right? They said, yes. I said, so I'm bringing my entire team over. They said, yes. I said, okay. So what is this team? They have an assistant coach who at that time was his, I won't say his name, but he was supposedly interested in being a head coach. So I said, all right, great. I said, listen, I normally have the biggest team. I said, so if I have kids, because you had to have tryouts every year. Remember, we all know this. See, soccer people know this. You have to have tryouts, mandatory tryouts every single year. Okay. I said, I always said it. My kids, by the way, on my team, they didn't get cut. I don't care what you thought of me. You thought it was soft. You thought, I don't really give a shit. Okay. We're not winning Olympic gold medals. Okay. Where we were playing. We're not doing it. We're there to build camaraderie. We're there to build young kids. We're young athletes, respectful kids, and for them to have memories and moments. Okay. So as long as you made the team 4 years ago, unless you wanted to leave on your own, I was not giving somebody else your spot. So what I said to them was fine. I said, if I have 18 kids coming over, I usually keep 22. So if I have anybody leave, I will let you know I have open spots. However, if after 18, if a bunch of people try out, they can go to your team. Is that cool? Sure. No problem, right? So everybody understands that, right? Simple. So the Xtreme stay the Xtreme, and then you have another team. Okay. And again, then you have another team, which was in Warminster, which was the Crush. So we were going to be Warminster Xtreme and Warminster Crush. So here's where I get mad. And again, I know we're an hour in. I apologize. But again, I want to get all the specifics so everybody has the understanding of the story. This will be podcasted as well. Again, as always, will be podcasted as well. So inter-county all the time, and coaches know this, will always have on the inter-county site any team that is looking for players. Okay, any team that is looking for players is allowed to post, hey, we're looking for 3 kids. Hey, we're looking for 2 kids. We've all seen it before, right? Now, again, remember, this is in March, okay? So, because I said we could have 2 teams, our team, Xtreme, and their team, they need to fill a roster out for. That coach said, well, since I'm leaving, I might as well get ahead of the game, and I'll try to build the team for the spring so that team will be able to play, and then we'll have this team will stay together, and then your team will stay together. Everybody's happy. Sounds good to me. As long as nothing's going on with my team, I'm all good. So that coach, Warminster Crush, Coach Chris, puts an ad out and on inter-county and says that he's looking for players. Guess what? All hell breaks loose. All hell breaks loose. All these parents that were supposed to trust me, all these parents, not all of them, it was like 4 or 5, okay? 4 specific ones, okay? They got everybody together, right? So 4 kids, okay? 4 parents that see this right away start going to the entire, see? Tony's lying. Tony's lying, and he's looking for players. He's not taking our kids. Look, it says right there, 07. I said, I'm not Coach Chris. What are we talking? Well, because he said they couldn't put his name on there. I said, yeah, they couldn't list me as a head coach for this team because I'm still with Southampton. So, yeah, the team that they're looking for players for is the Crush. Their team, that team looking for players, not my team, their team. They're trying to have 2 teams. Nothing to do with our kids. No, they didn't want to listen. They didn't want to listen. So, because they didn't want to listen, they went. First of all, when I found this out, I was mad. Okay, I was mad. I was mad that people didn't believe me. But again, I wasn't pissed. I was just like upset. And I was like, I want to explain to people. I sent emails. Listen, I called a couple people, one in particular, and it's such a shame, man. one of the kids that I loved. And that mom was not only berating me on the phone, but at the same time was telling her kid, Coach Tony doesn't want you anymore. He does, and this kid's crying in the background. I'm like, what are you talking about? Oh, it said it. You're gonna cut these kids. I was like, what? No, I'm not. What are you? I said, I have no idea where this is coming from. It spiraled and spiraled and spiraled. And this dude that I brought in that I had a bad feeling about, man, he rammed it right up my ass. Okay. He bought into all of it. And for some reason, they believed this dude. Okay. And it was like four of them. It was like a lynch mob, four of them. Okay. That put this all in motion. Okay. And I was just shocked. I couldn't believe what was happening. So here, what they did was they went to this guy. Okay. Dude's got no clearances, no nothing. He got kicked off the field when we played his when let me get it. I'll tell you later. Okay. This is how bad this is. Shows you how bad these parents were. Okay. So they go to him and they're like, look, will you coach the team? Because we don't want Tony coaching the team in the spring. What? So all these meetings are happening behind my back. They're going to the board, right? They had like 3 or 4 board meetings. And I knew this because 75% of the team, okay, was defending me and was letting me know what was going on because nobody told me what was going on. I had no idea. So I come to find out that one of my favorite parents called me. She's like, Tony, she's crying on the phone. She's like, I don't know how to tell you this, but they kicked you out tonight. I said, wait a minute. They did what? Oh yeah, they kicked you out. I said, what do you mean they kicked me out? They said, yeah, you're no longer eligible to coach anymore. And I was like, wait a minute. For what reasons? And what were the grounds for this dismissal? Like who's going to notify me and tell me I'm not? Like, this is like 3 weeks before the season. Okay. So I'm like dumbfounded, right? I am absolutely dumbfounded. So I get a letter, not a call, and they tell me effective immediately, I am no longer the head coach of Southampton Xtreme. Steve, I think this was 2011. Wait, hold on. I gotta think back, bro. I think my kids were 11 at that time. So it wasn't 2011, right? They're 07. I gotta think about that, Steve. I do. I'm gonna say possibly maybe 7 years ago. So 7 years ago, maybe 2013, maybe. No, it wouldn't be 7 years ago. 2017, maybe. Anyway, somewhere around there, right? I forget. Somebody help me out. I'm not sure. But so they tell me I'm no longer wanted at Southampton Soccer. I said, I still, man, Kyle, maybe it was like 215, 216. So I'm like, wait a minute. Can somebody explain to me why? Well, because, we have to worry about building the team for next year. I said, okay, that's why I notified you guys and let you know that I wasn't coming back the following year. Okay. I wasn't coming back. Yeah, but you're already building your team. I said, I'm not building a team. I said, I'm bringing my team with me. Yeah, but the parents are upset because you're running ads for one. I said, that's not me. That's not me. That's the current coach, Chris. That's the Warminster Crush. That has nothing to do with me. That's going to be a separate team. Okay. That's going to be a separate team. Oh, Steve, these were private meetings. These were only like Dave and Pat meetings at Madison. Yeah. So you probably did miss out. Trust me. Everybody was confused. Right? Because they stuck it up. Well, one of them stuck it up. Pat didn't, but Dave stuck it up my ass. So at the end of the day, I say, you know what? Whatever. Fine. I'm like, if that's the case, it is what it is. So I'm like, I can't believe, like, I'm hurt right now. I could give two shits about Southampton Soccer. Okay. But what hurt me was that these parents will go trust this guy that they knew for like literally 4 months, who had some major substance issues, okay? And they trusted him more than the guy who led their kid for the last 4 years. All because of a because instead of coming, they like, what? Why did I ever give you a reason not to believe me? I was transparent as hell throughout the whole situation. So here's where it gets great, right? So here's where it gets great. So now I'm like, okay, I guess, like, what am I supposed to do? So they tell me I'm no longer wanted on any Southampton soccer field. I said, my kid plays on the team. Doesn't matter. You're no longer wanted. Okay. So now I'm not allowed to be on the Southampton soccer field. Okay. Not allowed to be on the field. Well, here's the best part. Show up at the first game. I mean, the first practice after this happens, and just to drop my kid off. I'll play the game. You want me to play the game? I play the game. They kick my kid off the field. They tell my kid he's no longer wanted on the team. My own kid. You tell a 11, 12-year-old kid that he's no longer on this team anymore. Okay? Are you freaking kidding me? You know, my kid's crying. My kid's upset. Like, what is going on here? So now my kid's not allowed to be on the team that his dad helped build? Like, all because I was straight with everybody and said that I'm going to go to another club because I just think it gives us a better opportunity, and I didn't want to leave you guys high and dry. So not only do I get kicked out as a coach, but they kick my friggin' kid off the field. So now, guess what? My kid's got nowhere to play. Nowhere. I don't know what the hell's going on. So now I went from building this team with these families and going to move this entire team to now I don't even know if I'm going to have a team, because now a lot of people are saying that we're going. Now people got, I'll tell you what, before I get into that, I'll tell you what happened. Okay. So let's stop here. Okay. And continue. So now I'm scrambling for my own kid. So now I call Warminster. And I called this guy, Chris. I'm like, look, Chris, I don't know what's going on. I said, I just got kicked out of Southampton because they found out I was coming here when I told them that. But for some reason, people thought that I was cutting kids, gave them the whole story. I said, is it possible my kid can guest play? You need kids anyway, right? He goes, yeah. So AJ goes, and luckily he's able to play in the spring, at Warminster. And the funny thing is, now I got parents like, see, he's already over there coaching. You kicked me out. Like, what am I supposed to do? You guys lynched me out of the crew. You kicked my ass out. That's what you did. That's why I'm there. Okay. And then here's where it gets interesting. Buckle up, people, because here's where it gets juicy, and I don't give a shit anymore. Okay. I don't care. I am a huge wrestling fan. Okay. I love WWE. I watch every pay-per-view. I buy every channel for it. I love it. So at that time, we always had WrestleMania parties. Love WrestleMania. Okay. At that time, WrestleMania pay-per-views weren't on Saturdays. They were on Sundays. Okay. Sunday night. So keep that in mind. Sunday night. Okay. Now, preface this. My daughter at this time is a brand new driver. Okay. 17 years old. All right. Like, out there driving. I'm shitting my pants. I got anxiety through the roof. Is she going to be okay? Like, God forbid, I don't want to get a phone call. Something's wrong. All this stuff. I'm down right here, right behind me. Okay. Me and my two sons watching WrestleMania. All of a sudden, it's about 7:30, 7:40 at night. I hear this big pound on the door, man. It sounded like somebody was going to break my door down. I'm like, what the hell is that? So I go upstairs, and this is this part that people don't know, okay? So I go upstairs, and there's two police officers standing outside my porch. So Now I swallow. My heart's in my throat. Because if you're a parent, right? New driver, first thing I'm thinking is, holy shit, what's wrong with my kid? First thing I'm thinking is, oh my God. Like my heart sunk. So I open the door and they're like, Mr. Cotillo? And I say, yeah, they're like, want to step outside for a second? And I'm like, oh my God. I'm like, sure. So there's two cops on a Sunday night, 7:40 on a Sunday night. Your upper Southampton tax dollars well at stake. Two cops come to my door, ask me outside, and they said, okay, sir, just so you know, we're here to collect. I said, excuse me? They said, yeah, we're here to collect a soccer bench, a first aid kit, and 5 soccer balls. Now, me being me, okay, I'm a big Ashton Kutcher fan. So I looked at them. I walked out. I said, please tell me I'm getting punked. Please tell me that I'm getting punked right now. And I'm looking around for cameras. I'm like, somebody's going to come out and say you're being punked. Nope. No, sir. We actually do this all the time. I said, we do. Excuse me. What do we do all the time? What, like, tell me what we do all the time. You know, when there's an issue, you know, within the township of in sports, you know, we come try to rectify the situation. I said, what's the situation? Explain to me the situation. Sir, let's not make this more than it is. I was like, no, we are going to make this more than it is. Because you just came to my house on a Sunday night at 7:40 p.m. and to collect a soccer bench, 5 soccer balls, and a first aid kit. How the hell does that happen? And how am I not supposed to be upset? How am I not supposed to be upset? You got me thinking that my kid, like, she's out there, just something's wrong. Okay, I'm being arrested. I'm being like, wait a minute, what is going on here? So I looked at him. I said, you're kidding me, right? I said, bro, I don't even, like, I don't know. I think it's like somewhere in my garage or something. Yeah, well, we need it. I'm like, oh my God, you got to be kidding me. So this dude shining a flashlight on me like I'm some friggin' criminal. Okay. I got to open up my garage door. And he's literally got the flashlight in my garage, looking all around my garage. Oh, I think that's it right there. So he sees the bench laying on the ground. And I was like, here, you want it? And I kind of I was so pissed. I'm like, am I taking it? You taking it? No, I'll take it. So his partner comes up and grabs it. Then they grab my soccer bag with 5 soccer balls in it. And they're like, oh, we need a first aid kit. I said, I have no idea where the first aid kit is. I was like, I think it was expired. I don't know, dude. Like, honestly, I'm sitting here trying to have a good time with my kids. I was like, you're here harassing me on a Sunday night over something that I'm still trying to figure out. Why are you here? Who called you to my house? I want to understand this. I said, am I being arrested for something here? Did I say something to a child? Did I say something to a parent? Like, explain to me oh no, sir. No, this is a very normal situation. This is not normal situation. I said, what is normal? Well, now that you're no longer associated with the team. And I said, oh, I see what's going on here. I see what's going on here because we got fire chiefs and everybody that's in cahoots. Somebody did somebody a favor. I see what's happening. Southampton hates Tony. The board can't stand him. So somebody called in a favor. I see what happened. Everybody put 2 and 2 together. It's not that friggin' hard. Okay. So I'm like, well, I want a police report. Are like, well, sir, we can't give that to you. What do you mean you can't give it to me? I want a police report. Like, well, you got to come to the station tomorrow to get a police report. Okay, no problem. So next day, I go to the police station and I go in and I said, yeah, can I get a police report? I need a copy of police report. Sure. What's your name? And I give her name and they're like, can you verify your address? I give it to them. And the girl looks at me. She goes, yeah, can you you have to hold on for a second. Okay. So she goes in the back, talks to whoever, comes back out, and she says, yeah, she says, Colleen, I'm laughing. That already happens. It is what it is. But so I was like, what do you mean I can't get the report? Yeah, they said that it's not available right now. And I was like, look, I'm just trying to figure out why the cops were at my house to collect some things. I didn't like, is that something that normally happens? Like, I'm not sure. I never heard of that before. Like, I never heard of that before. Like, I don't now, just so you know, some parents do know because I let people on the team know. I said, because I was furious. I was like, could somebody explain to me why the cops were called to my house to collect some soccer equipment? I mean, if anybody wanted soccer equipment, I could have easily given it to you. Like, I don't understand. Like, why was that necessary? I don't know. Like, you kicked me out of the club for, again, because I have still don't know why, because you thought something different. And then you handed the keys to a guy that had all kinds of substance issues. Okay. That he showed his true colors later on. I was like, and then you come to my house on a Sunday night, banging down my door to collect some used soccer equipment. Like, I don't understand. Like, I was like, this boggles my mind. I'm like, so I go, and again, they tell me I can't get the report yet. I have to wait a little bit and call back, and when it's ready, they'll give it to me. I said, okay. So at the time, not because I wanted this person to do it, but the crazy part is a certain person that, found out about this, did some digging. And actually, because they had clearances, not in this township, but somewhere else, and was looking into it for me. Well, I guess because this person was looking into it, she started to get a couple threatening emails. Basically, don't look into this. And then they were ghost emails. So when she would try to take a copy of them, they would disappear. They would disappear. And that's what a ghost email does. And I told her, I said, listen, I obviously didn't want you doing that, right? And I was like, this is crazy to me that this happened. So the craziest part was, I wait the 7 days. I go back to the police station and I asked, the report's ready yet? And and the girl told me, and this was dead serious. She said to me, you're not going to be able to get that report here. You would have to go to the courts to get it. She's like, and I highly recommend you don't do it. That's what she told me. I said, what? She's like, if I were you, I'd let it go. And I was like, are you serious? I was like, what the hell did I do? And again, this is all because youth sports turns ugly. This is all because somebody misinterpreted information and trusted somebody, okay? And trusted somebody instead of the person that was with them for so many years, okay? So I was completely devastated. I couldn't believe that this happened. And again, it's water under the bridge now, right? I waited long enough till my kids were out of the program to be able to just, because it's still, I like to get things out. And the craziest part of everything was, because of that, and I let everybody know, now it started to freak some people out, right? And I get it as a parent. Like, I didn't hold any grudges. And eventually there was certain kids that were like, yeah, I don't think we're going to come back. There just seems like a lot of craziness going on. So now I'm losing kids that were supposed to come with me to Warminster. So here's the crazy part. This is where it gets crazy. So now I'm losing kids. Southampton screwing me again, right? So now I'm losing kids. And now I'm scrambling because I don't even know if I'm going to have enough kids to form a Warminster team, okay? Because now the Warminster parents at that time were pissed because there was no communication with Warminster, right? I show up at a game that AJ's playing because he's got nowhere to play, right? And this is still in the spring. And the parents are yelling at the coach, but like, I heard there's this new coach coming in, and dude, it was so crazy. It was so, I couldn't believe it. All to just do better for the kids, right? All to just do better for the kids. So now I'm scrambling. Now I'm like, I'm taking my kid. I took him to a bunch of tryouts because I'm like, I don't even know if I'm going to have a team now, because people were so disheartened by this whole situation, that they were like, look, they're like, we're not going to come back. I don't need to be mad. A couple kids decided they didn't want to play anymore. Like, there was a lot of stuff going on. So I was like, all right. So the funny thing is, I take my kid to like Huntington Valley to try out, like whatever local, right? Just because I didn't even know if Warminster was going to have a team. So now parents like, see, there he is. He's a try. He never wanted to be a coach anyway. Like, dude, are you morons? Are you like complete idiots? Seriously. No, it's because now you took everything away out from under me. Okay. And now I had to scramble to find out, but I didn't give up. I was like, you know what? This is not going to happen. I will not allow this to happen. I'm better than this. Nobody's going to get the best of me. Okay. I'm not going to, I said, we are going to have this Warminster team. I'm going to build it again. Okay. So I had a meeting with the assistant coach that time, which is a fantastic guy. Brett is awesome. And, we had a meeting, we talked, and we're like, we're going to put this together. So between so many kids that were left over at Warminster, kids that went, I still had 7 or 8 kids that came with me from Southampton, which was awesome. And then I had a couple kids reach out to me, because people think I'm such an asshole as a coach. Guess what? Really not. Because I had parents reach out to me and said, I want to play for Coach Tony. So I had kids from Huntington Valley come over, kids from Upper Moreland come over. And guess what? I went from so crazy. And karma, I love it because I got to throw it in their face. Okay. Because they thought they buried me. They thought in their sick and twisted mind, we're burying this dude. He's not going to have a program. He's not going to. And now guess what? He's going to have to crawl in his little hole and go away. Yeah. Well, guess what? Warminster, the Warminster Crush became the Warminster Vipers. Okay. And the Warminster Vipers had the biggest team at that time. At that age group, it had 22 friggin' kids. Okay. Oh, and by the way, the first tournament at the Perlini tournament, we won. Okay. And I am not about trophies. I'm not about wins. But that win right there, it signified so much more. Because it signified to me what people were trying to stop me from having, what people were trying to stop these kids from having. Listen. When you kicked my kid off the soccer field and then you brought cops to my house, that I'm sorry, I lost it. Right? That was that. And a lot of people don't know that happened. Okay. And it did happen. It was legitimate. Okay. It was because, again, you had a couple parents, okay, that again, I guess for some reason instantly flipped the switch and hated me for some reason. Right. The same parents that were, one of them was like taking my kid on weekends. And it just amazes me how quickly people change. And by the way, all the people that stayed, okay, there was 4 kids that stayed. Okay. And 3 of those 4 kids, those 3 parents were the cog and would try to get me kicked out. Unfortunately, they screwed their kid because that team fell apart. Never even made it through the year because and then during the year, all this coach did was bring all his Philly kids up, okay, from Northeast, okay, that were already playing on other squads, put them ahead of all the kids that were supposed to play. The kids hated it. They had a horrible experience, and the team friggin' folded. And all they had to do was trust me, and it would have never happened. And it's just a lesson of how youth sports can turn extremely ugly. Listen. The crazy part is that the guy they trusted with their kids was the same guy who came to the Warminster fields, and coaches had to kick him off the field because he was causing such a rush because he was so high and so drunk he couldn't even stand up. Okay. That was the guy that these parents trusted their kids with instead of me. The guy was with him for 4 years. It's just crazy to me. I don't understand how it works. But again, we move on, right? We move on. You know, we're talking again, what, 10 years ago, 9 years ago, whatever it is, we move on. Those people still hate me. They can't stand me. It's okay. I don't get it. I still see their kids, and guess what? I love their kids. Their kids are awesome. I still dab them up. We still talk, and I love following their achievements on social media and seeing what they're doing and seeing how they're growing up. And I'm happy that I was able to have a small little part in their journey before everything went bad. When I started this podcast, my whole point about this Fighting for Overtime podcast, and again, if you're not following the Fighting for Overtime podcast, I will ask, whether you're a hater, because what is going to happen is people obviously are going to watch this, which is fine, that don't follow me and don't friend, because somebody's going to talk and, oh my God, you should hear this, you should see this. But again, I'm not saying anything that didn't happen. Like that's my whole point. Everybody's like, well, you know what? Well, it happened. This is all legit, right? This all happened. Okay. It all happened, right? So why can't I talk about it? It's over now. It's water under the bridge, right? Nothing's going on at that soccer club. It is what it is, right? And listen, it sucks. It's a shame. Like Veterans Field is awesome. I feel like that should be filled all the time. Like, it's such a shame, man, that program just went to crap. Right? It is. It's a shame. I had some great times at Warminster on my second run. It was great. It was wonderful. But again, Fighting for Overtime on all social formats. It's on Spotify. Okay. It's on Apple. All right. We're on you. It's everywhere. It's very simple. Fighting for Overtime. Just search it. It's in there. The link is in this description. If you follow me on Facebook, you can follow me. The link is on there as well. We have a lot. I have a lot of episodes and a lot of good people coming on, because I want people to tell their story. And this is not bad stuff. This is about good stuff too. Yeah. Say this is the comments I like. My man Rick. I'm pissed you may have missed some of WrestleMania. I did spend $70, Rick. It was $70 freaking pay-per-view. And I missed half of it because I was getting a flashlight shined in my face, right? So yeah, I mean, listen, I still don't understand why they did it. I don't think it was that deep. But again, it was all about power. That's all it was. It was all about power, man. It's a shame. It's an absolute tragedy that it was all about power, but it happens, right? There's some interesting people in the world. There really are. But this podcast was an outlet in the beginning to tell my story, to tell people stuff that I went through as a coach, as a parent. I've had a bunch of parents on here that have, again, feel good stories, bad stories, everything, man. It's a fantastic thing. I get college coaches on, get high school coaches on, kids on, and you know what? The funny thing is, it's a shame because youth sports, it just has been spiraling out of control at so many different levels. When it comes to the school level, when it comes to the intermediate level, there's no more intramural anymore. It's a shame. I talked about this the other day. It's like, I used to love the intramural program, and now everybody's got to be a travel player, right? It's absolutely destroyed the intramural program. It really has. It really has. I'm just happy, to see some kids that are really doing well, man. Really, really doing well. Again, it's I had a lot of bad experiences. I did. But I had a lot of great ones too. Definitely more good than bad. But listen, a lot of this, a lot of this really weighed on me as a coach, later on, because I lived with things for a while. Remember, I'm when you cross me, that's fine, man. But when you cross my kids, I mean, like, to see my kid's face getting kicked off a soccer field and thinking like, Dad, what's going on? And I have not, like, I didn't know what I did, and I didn't do anything really. That's a shame. When my kid goes over I'm not, I'm not going to say anything, but Colleen, there you go. Look at that. AAU is estimated to be a $40 billion industry. It's a shame. It's just look at that, $40 billion. The thing that is a shame to me now is that even locally, it's like the recruiting is asinine, right? I mean, everything is yep. I was just going to say that everything is corporately invested. Um, and now, listen, people are all they're doing is trying to make money off of youth sports, right? That's all they're doing. Like no, like I am. Listen, I wholeheartedly. I think I paid on. Listen, I right. It's crazy. Like what we do, right? What we do. Um, my goal. I want to be fully transparent with this because I want everybody to understand I mean what I say. So, you know, number one, this podcast was started to show everybody that you're not alone, right? That it's not just me. A lot of people that are involved now are going through some of these same experiences and their kids are younger and they're like me and at the time it's like we don't want to speak up, we don't want to speak out because it's going to affect our kids. Look what happened. I spoke out, my kid got kicked off a soccer field. Okay. So I get it. I respect it. I understand it. Right. Don't even get me started on high school. We'll get that on another day. But I'll talk about that in the summer. For some people know what I'm talking about. But you know, my whole point of this was to let people understand. Make people aware of what could happen. Look at the signs, right? Look at the signs. If you see something that's not right, think about it. Think about. I'm trying to tell stories that legitimately happened to me. So listen, look, I thought I was doing everything the right way. It didn't matter. At the end of the day, it didn't matter. I should have saw the signs and I didn't. Maybe you'll see the signs, right? I also love to highlight the good, right? If you look at a lot of episodes that I've done, with local kids, right, doing fantastic things in the area, breaking records, good kids, right? But also, I want the best part, and I don't want to put her on the spot, okay? But one of my favorite interviews. Now, my favorite interview will always be with my daughter, and I think I cried through the entire interview because me and my daughter were put through the ringer when it came to softball with coaches and organizations. So, but my second favorite interview is always going to be with Noelle. And again, she's not going to be ashamed of me saying her name because her name is listed in the episode. If you go back, and she played for Archbishop Wood, she played in college, and she was so real. She was so real. She talked about the stressors that kids face. She talked about the anxiety, the burnout, the questioning of herself. Do I want to fit in? Am I going to fit in? Am I going to be looked at a certain way? And that's what I really want to talk about. And that's what I want to bring about because I want people to understand, like, you're not alone, man. Like, I want this to be a pipeline, not only, to highlight the mental health aspect, but to show that what these kids are really going through, man. These kids are going through a lot of shit right now. They're going through a lot of shit, man. A lot of shit. Right? That we can't even begin to imagine. I say it all the time. I had a t-shirt, a hat, pair of socks. I played for Wissanomi Boys Club. Okay. I played for Wissanomi Boys Club, Moss AA. Okay. Played for what? 3 months. I had to practice one night a week, a game on Saturday, and that was it. Right? These kids, man, this is their livelihood. This is their absolutely livelihood. My man Steve Checker says a lot of experience for me was through soccer. I grew up nothing involved with soccer. I grew to love it more than I hated, but man, there were so many times. Yep. JD, I feel like I'm going through those issues with softball. Really sucks to get kicked out for nothing and scrambling for a team or a league. Yep. 100%. My man Bill, they're making you pay to park for. Yep. Pay to park. I'll tell you what, if I'm paying to park, there better be a good goddamn public restroom. Okay, don't give me that damn porta potty. You want me to pay to park? I better not have a porta potty. We work for free and pay a ton besides to work for them. You're right. You're working at the club, not Warminster SC. WSC does really good things. Listen, Steve, I 100% agree. Okay, I 100% agree. I had a fantastic time at Warminster. Jason is the absolute man. Listen, I'm going to say his full name because I had him on. Okay. Jason Scanlon, head coach of Villa, head coach soccer of Villa. Go back, watch that episode. You want to talk about a dude who's driven? Dude's got like 25 kids. Okay. And full-time work and full-time coach, president over at Warminster, and does so many amazing things. Go back and watch that episode. Okay, I'm telling you, will not regret it. And listen, the dude's teachings are phenomenal. They're phenomenal. There's a reason why Villa hired him to be their coach. And you want to relate to somebody, you're going to relate to Jason. I'm telling you that right now. So that's what I've been fortunate enough with this podcast to do. Listen, not every pod, I promise, is an hour and 40 minutes. That's tonight because we're yeah. And listen. And Steve knows this. He'd be badass is unbelievable. Jason's the man. Okay. Jason is the absolute man. And I'll say that again. I'll always say that. I have people, listen, I had 2 phenomenal coaches locally on this podcast. Okay. I had Coach Mike from Archbishop Wood, the girls basketball team, Coach Mike McDonald, amazing guy. Okay. Listen, maybe not everybody agrees with some of his coaching, but I'll tell you what, the guy is grounded. The guy, what he does is why he runs a kick-ass program. He's committed and does everything he can for those kids. I had one of my good buddies, Mr. Odes, okay, Michael O'Donnell, another guy. Go watch that episode. He was my 8th grade teacher in elementary school. He is a current umpire. He's been a youth sports coach. He's been a referee for years. You talk about, does amazing things with the church and the community. You want to listen? That dude's for real. Okay. The kids that I've had on, Noelle Baxter, Avery Coker, okay, who's now starting her next awesome career over there, Holy Family. Okay. Her and Haley Staub. Okay, that break the point record over at William Tennant, bringing those stories to life. Not enough people talking about that, man. That's the good shit that I'm bringing about this podcast. The Lower Lady, Bucks County Lower Lady Lions over there at softball. Okay, Coach Bria, Coach Vicky, both of them on this podcast. Okay, and what happened? It became a pipeline to another player, of a friend of mine whose daughter was looking for a spot. Who, guess what? 2 years strong now, first time ever travel softball, and loving every single minute of it. So this has become a pipeline for kids to be able to connect with coaches, to connect with kids their age, to find out what they're thinking and what they're doing. Again, people are going to watch the beginning of this episode and be like, oh man, this guy's just tearing people down. No, I'm really not. What I'm doing is I'm just telling stories. Okay. These aren't fictional stories. These are real stories. This is nonfiction. This is real stories. Okay. And the only names that I've mentioned in this episode are people that I've had on for me that you're going to go in the podcast and you're going to see their name listed. Okay. You're going to see their name listed. And I got Coach Danny. Does anybody know Coach Danny? The 2023 Little League baseball champions, Coach Danny Bowl. Like, he will be on this podcast next week. Cannot wait for him to be on. Okay. You want to talk about hearing some fantastic stories. How about feeling that feel-good story, the 2023 Little League World Champions? Okay. We're going to hear from the coach himself. He will be on this podcast. So I'm saying all this because my goal is to bring awareness, okay? And as I start to monetize this podcast, this is where I'm telling you where I'm going, okay? As this podcast starts to grow, okay, the whole point of monetizing is to give back, okay? So in a perfect world, what I would be doing, okay, is taking sponsorship money and presenting a check to local organizations, Okay. And I don't know how much it would be. Maybe I don't know. It all depends on what the sponsors give, right? But it will be something where we not to say, oh, look what he's no. It's because these clubs need money, right? They do a lot of fundraising. They do a lot of things, and it would be feel good to me to be able to give back, okay, to maybe clubs that are struggling, right? That are doing all this stuff for volunteers. So, when I think of monetization, it's not load Tony's pockets. Okay. I think of monetization as how can I help? How can I help even more? And that's what I want this to become. So again, I greatly appreciate everybody tuning in. I greatly appreciate everybody's kind words, to be honest with you, over the years. I'm not gonna bullshit. Okay. Um, I that was a tough time. That was my eyes are going to get glassy right now, and I apologize because I keep thinking about all the good times, right? All the good times I had with the kids, and the kids that I continue to talk to today. Okay, that are fantastic. I'll tell you, Jeanette, listen, it's great. Thank you, Jeanette. And what's awesome about this is, I can say this because listen, she's comment on Facebook, right? But I coached her son Nick, and Nick was just at my house 2 days ago getting his haircut by my son AJ, right? So not only am I seeing these, it's so awesome, right? It's so awesome to be able to watch these kids grow up. It really is, right? When I was able to attend some of their senior nights, which was awesome, even though I'm really not wanted over at Warman's or at William Tennant, right? I'm blocked from all their pages, but I still went and I stood in the background and I watched my kids play last year. Because I wanted to see them, ride their season out. There's a lot of things, man. Rick, I can't say this, Rick. Okay, but I appreciate it, brother. Okay, I want to look like you. I gotta get unfat. Okay, and I gotta look like you now, Rick. Okay, we used to be fat buddies together, but now you're all pumped up, bro. So you gotta tell me your secret one day. But no, listen, I just my main thing and with this was always memories and moments. That's what I've done. That's what I've always lived by, right? Youth sports should be about, it's not about wins. It's not about losses. I told my kids that all the time. It ain't about what you win. It ain't about what you lose. Okay. It's about memories and moments. All right. Because there are memories and moments or things you're never going to be able to take away. I mean, that you're never going to be able to forget. Okay. You can have 1,000 medals. You can have 1,000 trophies. At the end of the day, it's the memories. It's the moments. I'll end on this. I know a good moment. So when we were Xtreme, and I'll never forget this when I was Southampton Xtreme, and we had a President's Day tournament, and anybody following along, and Tim, you probably remember this. It was up in Hatfield Indoor Complex, and it was an indoor tournament. It was fun, and we had to play this Russian team that were so good. They were so good, but goddamn were their parents so horrendous. So the reason why I say that is because the entire court was encapsulated by glass, and parents weren't supposed to be inside the glass. Okay. But these parents kept bumping their way inside. They wouldn't leave. They were screaming at our kids. They were cursing at the kid. It was ridiculous, right? It was ridiculous. My kids at that time were so involved or so upset, based on I had to calm down, okay? And we weren't supposed to beat this team, okay? We just weren't. Honestly, we were not supposed to beat this team. And we wound up going to penalty kicks, and I had my goalie. See, I do different shit. Okay. I always do different shit. I'm not asking for a medal for it, but I just do different shit. Okay. So I knew that my goalie at the time was kicking ass. So my goalie at that time never got to play on the field. So we go in a shootout for the championship. Now, I don't care about the medal, right? I don't care about the medal. But I say to myself, how awesome would it be if the kid who got us here, who's blocking all the shots, who got us there, comes in to take the last shot, wins the game? So everybody thought it was going to be one of three other kids, one of my goal scorers, this and that. So now, what I do is I grab my goalie and go, yo, come here, man. I was like, yo, you ready to play? He said, what do you mean? I was like, I want you to take this last kick. And he's like, are you sure? I said, yeah, man. I want you to drill it. Dude, think about all those games that you want to play in, right? I said, think about all those games. Think about all those shots that you saved, right? I said, but all those games that you wish you were in there, because this kid was tough, okay? So all those kids you probably want to take down, put all that anger and see all those people over there yelling at you. I said, take that as anger right there. It was almost like a water boy, Bobby Boucher moment, right? I said, and I want you to kick that ball as hard as you can. I said, I don't care if it goes in. I said, I don't care if it goes over the net. I don't care. I just want to get all your frustrations out. I said, but if it goes in, man, it's going to feel awfully good. So when I took him out of goal, I had some parents at that time look at me like, dude, what the frig is he doing? Right? I had parents on the other team that were laughing. They were laughing. They were like, oh, look, this kid's net. Like, again, because again, at that time, it was a little flat-footed, right? We used to laugh at all the time. It was funny. Like, he used to kick shins all the time. It was great. Great kid, man. So he gets in, and what does he do? He drills it. Not only does he drill it, but he drills it like upper right. We win the tournament. The place goes crazy. I couldn't even get a speech out. I cried for probably like 10 minutes because I'm a very emotional person, man. I'm a very emotional person. And just to understand that in the beginning that these kids were so rattled by these ridiculous and despicable parents that were yelling at these kids, okay? And to think that they came back and they beat a team they couldn't. And it was such a feel-good moment for that kid and for the entire team. I'll never friggin' forget it. And it chokes me up thinking about it. It does. It was awesome. Colleen says, gotta stay true to kids and maintain pure intentions. Coaches will make mistakes, but with good intentions to push kids to become the best version of themselves on and off the court, feel nothing but respect. You are a perfect example of that. Me and you. Okay, don't just say you. It's us. Okay, make tons of memories and plenty of moments that kids and parents will hold in their hearts. It's so true, man. It's so true. But that's both of us, Kyle. That's both of us. All right, Finney. My man, it's a shame, Bill, ain't it? It's a shame. It's a shame because we're losing a lot of good people, man. We're losing a lot of good people. A lot of good people. So just to close us out, because I'm gonna go watch the Phillies game and hopefully the Phillies can win tonight behind Aaron Nola. But I just want to say thank you. I just want to say I appreciate all the support over the years. I appreciate the support over the last 4 years of this podcast because, again, man, when this has been growing from 10 downloads a week to 2,000. Okay, so I mean, when you're getting 2,000 people listening and downloading your podcast every week, that's pretty impressive to me. I still can't believe that close to 10,000 people a month listen to this podcast. So again, it's because I made a traditional podcast on, obviously, yeah, you get the video that'll be on YouTube, but I don't normally use YouTube that much for this. And mainly it's for a placeholder for the video, but I do the traditional way with Spotify and Apple. My man Pat, good people will always be there. There's another great guy. Do it for the kids is what I always say. There's a dude who's been around and a legend, in my opinion. Pat is the absolute man. Pat would listen to me vent. Would play the political role because some people I was venting about might have been good friends of his. He knows he's probably smiling right now as I say this. But he was the good cop, man. But he allowed me an opportunity to vent. He allowed me an opportunity to be me. He did. And I appreciate Jason. Last thing I'll say about Jason is Jason Scanlon gave me an opportunity to be me. You have to remember, I came with a lot of baggage. Okay, think about the story I told. When I came over to Warminster, and I came with a lot of baggage. And I had a reputation. I also had a reputation of being kicked out of a lot of games. Um, you know, you don't need to read this one. All right, Rick, I got you, brother. We'll be in touch. But and Jason allowed me to be me. Okay. Because he knew I was always kid first. And I respect him for that. Some guys would have told me to tone it down. Some guys would have told me, listen, man, maybe, some of this isn't for me, but Jason allowed me to be me, and Jason supported me, which was great. I will give again, people may not know her. I'll just say her first name, but Courtney um, supported me through a lot of this. Through at intercounty soccer. She was still is a good friend of mine. And yeah. No, Steve says, word on the Steve knows what I'm talking about. The yellows, the reds. No, not as many maybe as you, but I have my share. So listen, man, listen, I could tell you stories for another hour, and I'm not going to do that. But I just everybody that allowed me to be me, I appreciate it. And last but not least, the parents that allowed me to coach their kids, and throughout the Warminster and Southampton area. I can't thank you enough, because I could tell you this: there is no better reward, or I should say, no better feeling. I'm missing the professional word for it, and I'm a talker too, right? But no better, I say compliment, no better compliment though than to know that parents allow you to have their kids' best interest at heart, right? That allow you to, when I say, listen, okay, I'm a prick, okay, like I am 100% a prick when it comes to, I want order, I want structure. Okay, this ain't I don't want to defend anybody, but like I would say to the boys, listen, ain't got mommy here to pat your balls, man. Like, I don't want to hear mommy said, mommy didn't pack my bag, right? Mommy didn't wash my jersey, right? Who the hell are you? What do you mean, mommy? Like, I was straight with the parents. Like, listen, um, I treat all the kids the same way I raise my kids when they're here. Okay. And they allowed me to do that. So I appreciate that. Because again, remember, coaches, whether you're coaching males, females, it doesn't matter. We are coaching not only the player, but the person, right? We are growing them as young women and young men. And that's one of the most important roles that we have to be as a coach. And I stood on that as much as possible. And a lot of the other people that are commenting here did too. So I'm gonna get out of here. Again, I'm sure I'll take all the hate mail that I get next and things of that nature, which I already got it, so it's okay. It's no big deal. These are things that happen to me. Okay, I don't know who did it or why they did it. I have an idea. I would love to know why that was necessary, and I don't think it was. But it happened. Okay, it's over. Now everybody knows. Now there could be no questions. All right. There could be no questions about it. No, what ifs, so anything. Now we just move forward. And now I just hope that the kids in the youth sports program continue to grow. I hope that all programs continue to grow the right way. Shout out to everybody who continues to support, and make sure you subscribe to the Fighting for Overtime podcast. Okay, I'll throw it up again real fast. If the link's in there, if you scan this QR code with your phone, if you're watching on your phone, if you're watching on the computer and you want to scan it on your phone, boom, it's going to go you right. All the episodes are right there, or just go to Spotify or Apple. And again, if you are, last thing I'll say, if you are an Apple subscriber, if you have an Apple account, I would greatly appreciate you going to the podcast. I don't care if it's good or bad. It's okay. And give me an honest review. After you've listened to some episodes of what you really think, I would greatly appreciate it. Everybody, have a fantastic evening. I appreciate your attention. 2 hours. I can't believe this went for 2 hours. And we've had over at one time over 100 people watching at that time. So I greatly appreciate it. This will not go away. This will be podcasted. The story will be there. Everybody will hear it. And listen, just remember, everybody out there, keep your eyes open, keep your ears open. I'll never change. I'll continue to be transparent. But again, I hope that you learn from what I went through, and that it doesn't happen to you. Everybody have a fantastic evening. Stay safe and stay healthy. And again, we'll get. Hold on, real fast, Pat. Well, sorry, I missed most of it. Was cutting grass per lead. Pat, as always, cutting grass for Perlini. My man never stops volunteering. One of the best dudes ever. Thanks for your service, Pat. You are the man. Thanks, Steve. I appreciate it. Everybody stay safe, stay healthy, and we'll catch you back.